I'd like to call to order the Tuesday, October 18th meeting of the Monmouth City Council. Ask Phyllis to call the roll, please.
Counselor Carey?
Here.
Counselor Johnson?
Here.
Counselor Milligan?
Here.
Counselor Schaefer is excused. Counselor Silvernagle?
Here.
Mayor Overs?
Yes. First item tonight is the consent calendar consisting of minutes from the council meeting and work session of October 4th. If I could have a motion to approve both sets of minutes.
Approved. Second.
Moved and seconded, in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And those two sets of minutes will be signed off. Mayor's report is extremely short, not a whole lot of activity the last 2 weeks. I do want to mention that WinPeg on channels 717 and 718, our high def channels on Minet, we got our new high def server in place, and it was having this really odd problem where every now and then an audio bit would go by and the video would freeze, and then the audio would keep going and the video would be frozen unless you change the channel and change back, at which point the video would pick up just fine. So it was a real mystery, but Deborah finally managed to wrestle the problem to the ground, and it seems to be working properly now. So it's been a long battle, but we do have Minet high def and those two channels, and they're both running well now. Reports from council reps to boards and commissions. Councilor Johnson?
Yeah, the Historic Commission met the first of the month. Anyhow, and they really have a lot of plans going. I'm not going to steal their fire from them because they're here tonight for their work session and they're going to present the program. The one thing that we do need is we need 2 people on the committee. We need to put that down. And one of them that we would like to have, which was recommended by the state, would be somebody, either an architect or an engineer, if possible.
Okay.
If possible. So that's, I'm not going to go on that. Planning Commission, they've really been working on a lot of catch-up. I call it catch-up work, and they call it other thing, changing the resolutions, trying to figure out how to match ours with the state, stay up with the city codes and everything else. So I'm not going to steal their fire either, because they're.
Phyllis, do we have anybody from out of town on the Historic Commission right now? Or is it everybody in town? Okay.
Everybody's safe.
I have an idea for a possible architect.
Good.
I'll see what I can do with that. Let me make a note so I don't forget.
Well,
Okay.
if it helps, if we have enough, even for one short, we still can get a quorum to get going.
Good. Councilor Carey, trees.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the tree board will meet on Thursday coming up, to finalize plans for a planting they're going to do, I believe on Saturday, Mark, are we
Yes.
set on that? Over at the senior center is the primary focus. There's some trees that need to go in there on Warren, I believe is the target area. And we had a nice report from them our last meeting, and they continue to do good work. So,
What time on Saturday, John?
not sure.
9.
Usual 9 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay, I figured.
Coffee and donuts furnished?
Thanks,
Not free, you gotta have a show.
That's your offer?
My offer.
Well, I should mention, there's also a planting going on at the same time on Hoffman Road. We're gonna finish putting in the plants there and a couple more trees, and I'll actually be over there.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Anything else, John?
No.
Okay. Councilor Schaefer's not here for Parks and Rec. Any community announcements tonight? I will mention, if I can find it, we have a soup and pie coming up. Oh, there it is. Soup and pie sale, Thursday, October 20th, 11 to 1:30 at the Senior Center. Soup's $3 a bowl and pie.
It's right here.
Oh, it's here.
Yeah.
Here, okay. Okay, thank you. Soup's $3 a bowl and pie's $2 a slice. So come enjoy and help with fundraising for the Senior Center. Anybody else have anything?
Yeah.
Yes, Steve.
I wish I knew all those particulars on it, but the chamber is doing their spectacular something bingo coming up as a fundraiser, and then the business association, Monmouth Business Association, I think, is doing another Halloween up and down Main Street. The library's got some functions going on, and that's on Monday night, the 31st of October. But I don't know which the bingo is. That is that the 20?
Sunday. I can't remember Saturday or Sunday. It was one of the weekend days.
So if you're watching this on TV, go to the chamber website, and they'll have information for you on that.
Okay. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, it's homecoming at Western Oregon, I believe, on Saturday, last home football game, last tailgaters, last lot of good things, and might be the last decent day of weather too, so be there.
Very good. Darren, are you gonna be the odd man out? Okay, very good. Scott, what do you have for us?
Yeah, just a few things. The Bike Ped Committee, your last meeting, reported on a grant application. We got the grant application submitted. I can't remember if we talked about one, or we're actually gonna do 2 stations we're applying for. I think it was 2 last time, or?
That's what I remember.
I think we decided to modify, so we're gonna do one in Main Street Park and then one along the trail. So then one kind of central location, and the other one is then, okay, I'm on the trail, and that's easy access if somebody, neat with just technology, when you think about it, we'll put basically we'll mark it on the GPS. So somebody could be, 10 miles from Monmouth and go, oh, my bike's acting a little bit strange, maybe I should check on that, and then go, there's a station coming up.
Very
I
good.
think that'd be pretty helpful on that. Then a storm, we came through pretty well. Obviously, it wasn't as bad as it was supposed to be. We did have some damaged trees in Gentlewood Park. That was really where we had some damage centralized, and so they've been working on that, getting that roped up and taken care of. Flooding, nothing. Power, as other adjacent areas went down, we did not, which is a normal thing. So that was nice. And then the water IGA with Independence, we didn't think we were anywhere on that, and we got word today that they're okay signing it with the modifications that we put in place. So that'll be at your next council meeting.
Great.
So the word equal,
Equals all through it.
okay, very good.
Good work.
Okay, anything else?
Nope.
Yeah, Roy?
Can I ask this? We're about probably 90% complete on the senior citizens, edition, 85, 90. Yeah, we're pretty close. Are we on budget?
Close. Yeah, we're within probably a couple $1,000.
Okay, that's all I, kind of like to know updates.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have a ribbon cutting scheduled for?
Not yet, we're a little bit behind, so we're
Yeah,
just
we're
waiting.
kind of playing it by
It's a little
ear.
early to call it, yeah.
Okay, very good. Okay. Anything else? All right. Any citizen comments tonight? Yes, sir.
I'd like to add to,
Come on up. Name and city for the record.
George Jeffrey Monmouth. I'd just like to add to what Councilor Perry said about the homecoming game, but this game is nationally televised on American Sports Network, ASN. Last I heard, that would be ESPN3
Okay.
for us. So that's all I had to say.
Good. Thanks. Anyone else? Okay, rolling over to the business agenda, and I want to start by announcing that we originally had a public hearing scheduled tonight on an appeal of PUD 1601 sub 1503, and that's been canceled because the appeal has been withdrawn. So we won't do that tonight, and instead we will turn immediately to Minet Director Don Patton. And tell us what you have, sir.
I can be as long or as short or brief as you'd like me to be tonight, so what's your pleasure?
Tell us what you think is the minimum, and if you have questions, we'll make it go longer.
Mr. Mayor, council, staff, this evening I anticipate giving you an update on the following 4 items: a very high altitude quarterly financial report, a follow-up report on the suggestions that came out of the original CCG report, which I presented to the council the last time I was here, a community growth and capital replacement need conversation, and then some information regarding some expansion progress. Sound fair? Those 4 items, keep me to it.
Okay.
On the very high level quarterly financials, July, August, and September respectively, Minet's gross profit in July was 374.1, August 388, and in September 383,925. That's gross. Net ordinary income, all positive numbers for July were 105.8, August 105.6, and September 114.7. A quarter ago, I presented to the council a report that was requested by the board of directors and was highly anticipated by a consulting firm known as, we call them CCG, that did a kind of a forensic audit of Minet and gave its report to Minet and shared it with the council. And included in that report were some recommendations that Minet proceed going, or that Minet move forward with. And here, I wanted to remind you that those recommendations were there and to give you a brief report on the progress on those recommendations. The first recommendation in that report was that Minet remove its promotional credits and discounts. This action was considered carefully and thoroughly by the staff and the board. And with the end of the promos and discounts without end dates, Minet is now realizing significantly more monthly income. Those promotions were all eliminated as of October 1. Promotions that were properly eliminated prior to October 1st also was another significant boost to Minet's monthly income. The recommendation of residential rate raises beginning in April 1 of 2017, all residential customers except those with a Lifeline service will be receiving a minimum of 50 megabytes of speed, paying $50 per month for that speed. The 30 megabytes per 40 product has been discontinued for any new customers. And the sales team has been proactive with current customers, calling to offer them an immediate bump in speed from 30 to 50 megabytes for just $10 per month more. Since this policy was enacted on May 15th, 558 current customers have been converted to the higher speed, and the nearly 80 new customers that have come aboard since then are receiving the 50 megabytes for $50 offering. This too is generating significantly more revenue each and every month for Minet. A like product is being developed, in fact is being offered to businesses. We have not had the CSRs focusing on talking with the businesses to raise that rate at this point in time, but it will be effective at the same time next year, April 2017. Also in the CCG report was a recommendation as it related to our bulk rates. This is an area where Minet, quite frankly, should be ashamed of its past processes and procedures. Let me suffice it to say we heard the board's message very clearly with respect to promotional credits and discounts, that we treat all customers with an equal hand. Bulk pricing, this is the time of year that we address bulk pricing, and bulk pricing is ripe for change, and Minet will apply that change in compliance with the board's billing philosophy. To continue to penetrate the minimal remaining available customer base, Minet's delivery of service was once described as anemic penetration. The truth is, Minet has little remaining customer base to capture and is at today 81.73% penetrated into the entire available market in Monmouth and Independence. One aspect of healthy penetration is retention. Minet has named a retention specialist who has proven to be very effective in her duties. Likewise, Minet has a bad debt specialist as well, and the resulting decrease in monthly bad debt write-offs has been dramatic. There were a couple of other recommendations as it relates to sales to governing cities and Skitter TV, both of which are being continued to be looked into by Minet. Skinny bundles was a recommendation. I'm not sure that everyone is necessarily aware of, first of all, what a skinny bundle is and how Minet purchases its the bulk of its video content. A skinny bundle is exactly what the name says it is. It's a reduced number of channels for a reduced price. Minet purchases the lion's share of its video content from a aggregator known as NCTC. And as soon as they can make contract negotiations with the content providers, allowing them to provide us skinny bundles, we'll be bringing skinny bundles to this market as well. I bring that up only because we do hear of it primarily on the East Coast. We haven't seen a ton of it on the West Coast yet, except down in the California markets. But it will be coming, and NCTC is with the consortium of members that it has, Minet being a very minor one, but still an integral part of it. We have the ear of the content providers as well, so we will be getting them. A little bit later on, I'm going to be talking about the final recommendation in the CCG report, and that is the transition from BPON to a new generation of PON system, passive optical network, for anyone who's curious what PON stands for.
Thank you.
Minet is doing well. We're reaching board and industry objectives and expectations, and Minet currently remains the exceptional and leading edge operation originally envisioned, certainly differentiating Monmouth and Independence from many, if not most, other cities in the services supplied to its citizenry. But now it's time to also be looking at how do we remain that way. It has been brought to my attention recently by members of our Finance Committee that I should keep you reminded that Minet is a little different than the other city top shelf services. Like the Water and Public Works Department needing to replace aging equipment, streets, etc., or Monmouth Power and Light's recent need to build a new substation. We, Minet, have two different plants to maintain, an inside and an outside plant. First, the inside plant. Our core distribution system is now nearly 10 years old. It is well past its standard end of life period. End of support, and like our outside plant, end of availability has become a reality. Replacement availability has become a reality. We are building our need and anticipations into our upcoming 5-year business and strategic plan. Further, and specific to our outside plant, Minet must evolve with the industry from its current BPON technology to a next generation form of transport. Complete transition to next generation transport too will be very costly. In deference to the weight of the Minet debt, Minet has used every nuance to extend the longevity of the current plant. Of the longevity of the current plants, both of them. To expand current capacity and to allow for a gentler entry into what has become a necessary upgrade in spending, Minet is taking an additional step. We have at hand an opportunity to purchase used equipment from a public utilities department in Washington State that has completed their upgrade. This is our last opportunity to purchase this equipment before it's sold to resellers and is no longer available in the United States whatsoever. Going forward, to make the right purchases as we approach system transition, Minet must know accurate growth timelines. We must be able to avoid acquiring equipment that may be obsolete before it can be deployed or purchased in quantities not accurately sized to the true growth expectations. Ill-timed purchases would be a burden to both Minet and to the cities by depleting funds otherwise dedicated to debt service. As such, we would appreciate continued communication from the council and staff, providing Minet with growth timelines and deployment schedules for all areas of the community. Expansion. This is the final topic, as number 4. As mentioned earlier, Minet now enjoys 81+% penetration into our available market, But this is also a troubling point as it pertains to monies available for debt service, available monies available for debt service. The simple answer is the market simply isn't there to be captured. But a recent expansion opportunity is moving forward as planned, in fact, much better than planned. Fiscal benefits realized from this project will be, over time, highly effectual in tackling yet remaining debt shortfalls. Questions?
Well, the one question you had related to growth and stuff is always hard because, you know, some of that depends on the economy and lots of other things. So I don't know that there'll be a really good answer to that from the two cities, I would guess. You know, I assume you would transition basically your upgrades over time. You know, you work on one side of the plant and then I'm assuming most of the outside plant, at least the fiber, will be appropriate going forward with the new equipment, just different equipment on the ends.
There's about 3 questions.
Sure.
Statements or questions there. The last one first. The fiber in and of itself is future-proof and we see no change in that ever happening. It is in fact the electronics on each end that we do have to change out. The middle question is, yes, we are looking at staging the transition to the next generation of PON that we end up choosing to go with. The logical next generation of PON is GPON, GigPON, X-GigPON, and we're looking at hybrids of both so that we don't find ourselves immediately behind the curve once we get migrated to GPON like we found ourselves when it was originally chosen to go BPON rather than GPON. The good news and the bad news to all of that, the price of next generation PON equipment is coming down very rapidly. The bad news is the demand on our network is rising very, very rapidly. And we need to find the best balance as to when we do that. But fortunately, I would suggest that the stability of Minet's financials with the the genuine growth opportunities that we are looking at, that we're in a financial position and the ability to piecemeal out the upgrades such that we're going to be able to control the impact.
Good.
Did that make sense?
Yep.
Now, the first question was, yeah, there's a whole lot of factors that influence growth. I think what Minet is looking for, and please don't take this as a scolding, is that we don't receive any wishful thinking forecasts, especially as it relates to buying used, obsolete equipment simply to buy us time to push out the migration to the next generation of PON. I would hate to spend, while it's going to come out of daily operational capital to purchase this, I don't want to buy any more than I have to throw away a year from now. So we're looking for as realistic forecasts as we can possibly get, and let's not fluff them any more than we need If that, I think I answered,
You
or
did,
I
yeah.
at least addressed all
Thank
three
you.
questions there.
Well, I missed your last meeting here.
Yes, you
and,
did.
Yes, and what I have, and I read the report that you gave us. Very good. I see that you've really done a lot of things internally to make Minet more stable instead of jump on it. And I like your big deal on sales, sales, sales. That's very important in the industry that you're in. What I didn't like on that report wasn't really a report, it was another one by your financial officer that said, you know, that somebody else indebted us and, you know, that we're behind on the debt. We're all in the same boat. I mean, somebody in the other council indebted us to those bonds. But what I'm trying to say is, it's a good deal, it's working out better, and besides the payment that you make every month to pay for Minet, and you know, and you're trying to make up the other end, the people of Monmouth, as ratepayers, the power company, are paying every month to bring it here, you know, to keep Monmouth and Minet in the community. So I just think that maybe that ought to be scoped out a little bit. I mean, you take money out of our power to help pay the debt, you know, the bond issue. And that's all from ratepayer money. Now, maybe we haven't raised the rates, as the city manager says, but every nickel in that income is ratepayer. It all came from ratepayers. I'm not scolding anybody, I'm just saying, you know, besides your bill, we're paying more to help you stay in business so that you can be a better business is what we're doing. And if you don't, I mean, I could get the figures for you, but it is amazing what we do. And I'm not complaining on it, I'm just saying I want you to understand that we're backing you, not just, you know, as Minet as a subscriber, but also as a community through our pay rate scale. So I'd like that addressed once in a while when you show that. You know, it's a big, you know, it's a big item we're looking at, the cost factor. And I do hope that one of these days you can come and say, hey, I've got another 100,000 income coming in this year, and it's going to help us. You know, I don't see the twilight on the horizon that you're going to come up and say we got $500,000 to help, but every little bit brings that down, and we know that you're making progress. That's my deal.
No, I've got answers I needed from Darren's question. And I mean, the one question, I guess, would be, as you're wanting to put out the next-gen equipment, are there, like, when you look at the demographics of Monmouth Independence, are there areas that would benefit from that now versus some that could stay on the BPON technology for a little bit longer? Or is it just so piecemeal around that it doesn't make any sense?
Councilor Milligan, let me first of all thank Councilor Johnson for his input. Duly noted, and I would be happy to report where you think that we are not reporting. But I'm going to need to have you explain to me one-on-one what it is you're looking for, okay? And we'd be happy to do so. Councilor Milligan, yes is the short answer to your question. We actually had a conference call with an advisory engineering group this morning as it relates to the next generation of pond that we bring to the marketplace. And quite frankly, I think that you know, there's about a third of our customer base that we need to sooner rather than later get next generation pond capability to. There's about 2/3 of our current customer base that really don't need to be migrated off of BPON other than the fact that it broke. Our thinking is that we'll migrate in the stages of need so that no one is getting less than, no one is only provided a little bit less than what they're asking for. And we think we can do that. Plus, quite frankly, those that we migrate off of B to G, if that's the next generation we go with, that equipment we can bring back in-house and use it to extend our B network even yet a little bit further. So the short answer is yes. Not every one of our customers is or probably ever will be a consumer at the level of GPON. I think we're going to see 2/3 of them at GPON or greater demands relatively quickly, but not immediately.
Right, I guess I would just like, are there, I mean, I don't fully understand the layout of the grid, but it seems like if there were like pipelines on the grid that were more effective if they went to the GPON technology or whatever the next gen you're gonna use, were, if there were like a pocket here and a pocket here and a pocket here, then it wouldn't make any sense because you basically have to light up the whole network. But this way, it looks like there's streams that you could create that were the next gen technology without having to deploy too
I
much.
stand corrected here, but I think we have to do it in 20 customer lots.
Okay,
So that's not a big number.
right,
So,
okay.
So if you plotted everybody on the map, you could spot areas that have high enough data demand that it might be worth shifting them over sooner rather than later versus other pockets that can stay BPON a little longer.
that's our expectation there.
John, you have anything?
So the determination on who would be GPON worthy is the amount of data that they use? I mean, how would you differentiate those?
Well, we can only drive so much data into a cabinet, if you will. And if an area is maximized out the data that we can provide out of that cabinet, we've got to start switching some of that cabinet over to GPON. But we can deliver both B and G out of the same cabinet, which was not the case even a year ago. That's good news. That's great news, actually. But I want to make very clear that the consumer is getting nothing different than from a B PON delivery or a G PON delivery, other than, as an example, I cannot deliver more than 100 meg through a B PON delivery system. If I go over 100 meg, I have to go direct fiber. In the GPON environment, we can deliver, depending on the route we can go, probably, I think, 4 gig out of a GPON network. It's the same internet, it's just the limitation of
Wow.
speeds.
That's
You know,
amazing.
if you're asking for something I can deliver on a BPON, I'm gonna deliver it on a BPON, because I don't have to buy new GPON equipment to give it to you. But the other piece that's driving us a little crazy is BPON equipment is no longer supported software-wise, and we can't buy it new.
A couple of other things, sort of circling back to an earlier comment you made about the skinny bundle. What would that do to our revenue generation, our revenue abilities, if it's a skinnier deal? And then sort of a follow-up, there's beginning to be a little bit of chit-chat in the media about, something in Congress that may result in an à la carte packaging plan, which, for some would cause a dramatic reduction in what they're doing, and I'm just concerned about what that impact on our revenue might be.
Well, I don't think there's a person on the planet, other than the content providers, that would love to have à la carte programming allowed. We're ready for it. We're ready for it yesterday. And for anybody that's wondering what that means, you get to pick, we price every channel by the channel, and you pick what your package is gonna look like, what we deliver to your home. It's gonna require some equipment change out in our head end to do it technically, but it could be done. Skinny bundles, as I understand it, have a little bit greater margin in it than the minimal margin we have in video now. Being on our board of directors, Councilor Carey, you know that our margin on video is by the time we get the bill in the end user's hand, we pretty much just broken even. And if there's a process in a skinny bundle where I can get a little bit more margin, that's only gonna be a help.
The concern that I have relative to the, and again, we may be fighting a ghost because it may not be anything that ever materializes, but the à la carte plan. I mean, somebody could maybe get all they want for $20 a month instead of the 40 or 50 or whatever it is, or I don't even know what the packages might look like, but what they're paying for right now. Now, so therefore, that's less revenue. Understand it's less expense, arguably. Individually, you'd wonder if they're not more expensive than they would be collectively, but that would be something on the other end. But I'm just trying to get my hand around, I guess it's really margin that what allows us to, meet our debt service and so on. So it's really less about gross revenue or the scale of revenue, it's more about the margin.
Well, we're all pretty much adults in this room, right? How old are you? Huh?
13.
Yeah, closer. The content provider's gonna figure out a way to get their dough one way or the other. I mean, let's face it, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I don't personally believe that the FCC currently has the juice to push à la carte through Congress. I hope they do, but I don't know that they will. But our industry continues to migrate away from large packaged television because we as consumers are streaming more and more and more of the content that we view. We're getting it over the internet, we're watching it on our internet-capable video screens or our laptops or our iPads or whatever, our smartphones. Quite frankly, we make a smaller margin on the more expensive packages than we do on the least expensive packages. Not a lot, so we're not, we're very interested in getting these packages reduced because it gives us much more control over the margin that we're getting. And we're creating what the consumer's asking for. I guess that's why we exist, right?
Sure. I have one more comment and then one more question. I would just say that I really appreciate and I'm happy to see sort of what appears to be a pretty significant upgrade in our imaging, in our branding of Minet. It seems that those little drop-ins are much higher quality. They're much more reflective of, the high-tech broadband company that we are and purport. So there was a stretch where maybe it wasn't that way, but it certainly, in my opinion, has dramatically improved. So just from this counselor's perspective, thank you on that. And then the last question, and you and Darren had a conversation that ended with a discussion about a realistic forecast, and I don't know that I know what you mean by that. Who's making the forecast, and what are we forecast, and who is forecasting?
Phyllis, can you look back and tell me what we were talking about?
We were talking about growth, forecasting growth, and
Oh, yeah.
What do I mean? What we're saying to the cities, and we're doing a very good job, especially with Monmouth, of hearing, being kept informed of new housing developments that are being anticipated, new multiple dwelling units that are being built, apartment buildings. And what I'm choosing my words, I apologize. What we want to be very careful of is that Minet is not told that we have an anticipated, 200-unit apartment complex, when in fact, no land has been bought, no paper's been inked, no money's changed hands, that type of thing, because we are trying to operate so efficiently, we don't have any inventory anymore, which is a good thing. But we only want to buy inventory for what's really going to get into the field and really generate a bill that we can send out. So I don't know who makes those forecasts. But what I'm saying to you, the council, and to staff is that we're not interested in wishes and hopes. We're interested in the real stuff, and we'll be there to make it happen, but we need it to be as real as possible.
Yeah, and it's essential, and I'm pretty confident that our people are providing that for you, so I just hope so.
Now, as it comes to the marketing, I appreciate your comment. I wanted my net man to work. I wanted my net man to work so damn bad I couldn't see straight. It didn't work. And I never professed to be a marketing guru, but I too am very pleased with what the professional image is far more appropriate for who Minet is that we're seeing right now.
One of the things you're doing is you're tying Minet brand to attractive content. And, to me, that's an important one. Minet, is providing you with Pac-12 sports, for argument's sake, and other things. And, and I sort of feel compelled to sort of throw the compliment there, because I was, as you'll recall, quite critical early on that. And I just think it's probably not all the way there in your mind, but it's dramatically ahead of where it once was.
Well, and I think it's. I've too often told my wife, if there's ever a job for someone to point out what's not right, she gets that job, hands down. We have a lot of limitations in this market as to what we can do. But I think we've done a much better job of identifying where we can do things and making sure we're doing them as right as we can in those areas that we can. I mean, if we do an awful lot of television advertising, let's remember who we're advertising to. It's our own customers. So it's hard to go. Plus, our market is so saturated. So it's really becoming a retention game here. And I appreciate the comment, because we've been trying to find the right recipe for what we can do and how we do it.
Brand development.
And how much money we can spend on it.
Sure, it's all about brand development, and we're not trying to attract new customers, but we are trying to cement our image, the Minet image, with our customers towards retention.
And we do have a new billboard at the high school, by the way. Everybody, please drive by it and tell me what you think.
And Don, I've been sitting here for almost 10 years now, and the report you just gave, and I contrast that to what I heard the first couple of years, that's night and day. And I feel like I know what's going on now, where before it was a whole lot of smoke and a couple of mirrors. I think Steve could probably agree with that. He's been sitting here longer than I have. So, I just want to thank you for the degree of transparency you're offering us these days, because we didn't get that before. And it's really, it's the most important thing in a lot of ways, because when you're transparent, it's harder to have people asking questions because you already answered them by being transparent. And, really do appreciate that. I think one piece that I'd just be curious about, and I don't know if you have the number in your head. If you don't, send it along. But you mentioned the inducement packages. You mentioned as a way that revenue's gone up. You mentioned you've addressed bulk rates, or you're addressing bulk rates as a way to look at increasing revenue. And you mentioned expansion is increasing revenue. And I'm just curious what the sum total impact of those three will be over the long haul. And if you don't have that, or you don't feel at liberty to say, fine, you know, what you can let us know when you can let us know, it would be great.
I would be more than we know the numbers. And I would be more than happy to discuss them. I would request an executive session for that, quite frankly.
Okay.
But I will, let me, the combination of treating, Scott McClure has said it best. What we're doing with the end of promotions is treating all customers the same.
Right, right.
And that's the only way we should be doing it. It's the only way we ever should have been doing it. And promotion true promotion has an end date.
Right.
We had buku promotions that had no end dates. And have been going on for years and years. But the combination of the reduction of the promotions, the combination of some further price concessions that we have been able to negotiate from some of our wholesale providers, and I'm not referring to video, by the way. The growth opportunities, those that are the most likely to happen and to happen within a definable time frame,
Right.
are extremely encouraging to me and to what Counselor Johnson asked. Look for the date we're all looking forward to.
Okay. Very good.
They're very encouraging.
That's
But
good
you know,
enough for now.
I know, also, I know you use the term smoke and mirrors, and I told you from day one, some of it's gonna be hard to swallow, but you're gonna hear what it is, because I can't deal with BS, I can only deal with reality.
And there's a difference between smoke and mirrors and proprietary information. And I totally understand the difference between those two. So, I appreciate it.
But if the council would like specifics, I know that, I assume the board would approve us going into an executive session with the city council to provide that.
If we're curious, we can also give you a call. Talk to you. Okay. That's all I have. Thanks. Thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good information. Appreciate that a lot. We have a pair of items tonight that go hand in hand. The first one being the ordinance creating a business registration, and the second one, a resolution adopting the fees that go with business registration. So the first item is the ordinance, which will be ordinance number 1368. And before I read that by title, I would ask if any councilors have any questions from staff on this.
You know, I think we went through we had this pretty hard last time, and you know, my reservations remain. I'm a yes on this, but my reservations are that we probably ought to be doing all of our businesses, and so but given where the discussion has gone and all of that, I just like perhaps if we put this into a tickler file to revisit this in a year and determine whether or not there's a reason to go ahead and expand all.
Okay.
And it might be better to do it that way because we can kind of identify what the information we're finding and how it's beneficial, and so to expand that to all of our businesses. The fact that we've got a business directory it's a good thing, and that's helpful.
Yep.
I think there's all the things that are good for new businesses could also arguably be good for existing. So just with that codicil, I'd like to say that we ought to have a tickler to review it in a year.
Well, I go into the same thing, like January 1st of next year, after this is initiated, what does a 1 year bring us? And I've had a lot of people call and ask me about it. And again, I missed the last meeting, went over hard, but my thought is strictly to find out who's really in town, who's coming, and to help them.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I try to explain. It isn't a year-to-year deal, we're pounding on the door for dollars. It's just to try to make sure everybody's on the same basis when they come to apply for business.
Okay, again, this is ordinance 1368 by title, an ordinance adopting a business registration program and amending chapter 5.60 of the Monmouth City Code. And if I could have a motion to approve that ordinance.
I move adoption of ordinance 1368, an ordinance adopting a business registration program and amending chapter 5.60 of the Monmouth City Code.
Second.
Moved and seconded, Phyllis.
Counselor Milligan.
Aye.
Counselor Johnson.
Aye.
Counselor Silvernagle.
Aye.
Counselor Carey.
Aye.
Very good. And the next item, and the last item on the business agenda, is the resolution that establishes the business registration filing fee, and which is established at $25.
Yeah.
And this would be resolution 1825. If there are any questions for staff.
I just have one, and I'm glad we kept the price down so that people, we gotta pay for the system a little bit. And I still think it's a benefit. Like John said, I think a year down the road, we'll see if it is a benefit, if it really has to. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? If I could have a motion to approve 1825.
I'll move to adopt resolution 1825, a resolution establishing a business registration filing fee.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Phyllis.
Counselor Silvernagle.
Aye.
Counselor Milligan.
Aye.
Counselor Carey.
Aye.
Counselor Johnson.
Aye.
And with that, we will adopt those fees as well. Are there any council comments tonight?
Yeah, I have one, and I think it's really an important thing. Hey, I'm new on the council, I've been here 2 years. You pass out, somebody passes this out, with the city manager or the mayor. It says performance evaluation of city manager. Well, we know he's a city manager, he runs the city. But what is his job? In most places I've been at, that of any size, that you evaluate the person around you, you get the job description with the evaluation.
Okay.
I had to ask for the job description to get it. And I think it's hard to make an evaluation if you don't have the job description, because each part of that area can pertain to different parts of the job description. So I'm just saying, the next time around, make sure you have a job description of what the person's job is when you hand out the evaluation, so you can actually go down and look piece by piece.
Phyllis and Scott, can we just make that a standard part of every year where you and
Whatever you
Lane?
wish.
What's that?
Whatever you wish.
Is that, everybody on board with that?
Yeah.
Okay, and Lane's as well, we don't do the judge anymore, so.
Well, and we got new people coming on.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's, you
Absolutely.
gotta understand.
But we won't be doing those until this time next year, so just putting in a request for job descriptions to go out along with the evaluation document. Okay, any others? John?
I have two questions, I guess, as much as anything else. Do we have any, and I guess I'd ask Scott this of you, did we have any, is there an update on the things that Bonnie Ross was talking about? Did we get that routed to the chief of police to begin to watch speed on Clay Street?
Our chief staff people, the public works director, and the chief are aware of the
Okay,
issue.
good.
They're gonna start tracking things and
Good.
get ready for the next meeting.
Good. That's good. I mean, she had a legitimate concern and expressed it well. I'm glad to hear that we're following up. And then the question that I have, it's kind of a general one. Is there any limitations on locations for campaign signs, political campaign signs? Do you have to be within your jurisdiction or any of that kind of thing?
No, probably not the right of way. That's
Yeah.
probably the only one I can think of right offhand. I know there are a few in the right of way right now.
Yeah, but if your question is, can you put city council signs outside city limits? Sure, if you've got somebody outside that wants to put it up.
We have some independent council signs in Monmouth.
First Amendment.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm
Yeah, no, that's right, it's a good question.
And the
No.
Polk County, one of the Polk County sheriffs has got a sign over Marion County. Much like both of them.
May not be very effective, but you can do it. Yeah, I know, you get commuters, that's the idea. But-
Okay.
The Dallas City Council has one over here too.
Really?
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yep.
Now, that may not be so effective.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's a gang, so
Well,
who knows?
One of the things, John, you know, going way back in my history, I was on planning when we adopted the current sign code. And one of the things we really did kind of stress was, you know, you've got free speech, and boy, all the types of free speech, political free speech kind of hits the top of the list.
Yeah.
It's really hard to put restrictions. We were talking about, you know, no more than X before the election and Y after. And
Yeah.
realizing that probably if somebody wanted to leave a sign out all year round, they could do that.
Littering,
Say about it.
yeah, littering.
Yeah,
Thing.
there you go. Okay,
I got one more.
yeah, go ahead.
And these brochures that were handed out are really good, and this was a grant through it's all through the county, in all three cities, kinda. And I've been handing these out, and there is a lot of information in here about our area and Polk County. Really is a lot, especially the one on the winery. I thought that was really one of the better ones, because I didn't know there was that many wineries in Polk County.
Yeah, we're second in the state.
I know, but I mean, people, I know we have a lot of them, but I'm just saying, it was a very, for the price of it, is very good.
Mark?
Just to clarify, those are tasting rooms. We actually have about, last count I had was about 80 wineries.
Right, but it's,
So, yeah, so what's in the brochure, are the tasting rooms, but yeah.
but it's
We're proud.
the idea
Thank
that
you.
we're here,
Yeah,
not
well
just
done.
Yamhill County.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was
That's
well
it.
done.
And we just gotta get that word out a little bit broader and let everybody know that Polk County wines are a thing too. So, thanks. Ron.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Okay, with that, I would request a motion to adjourn the work session.
Make motion.
In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, let's take 5 and we will meet in the back. And I thank everyone who is here for their board and commission meetings, for your patience. I went a little bit longer than I thought there, but you can all take Don's good words about Minet out through the community and let everybody else know how well we're doing.